So welcome everybody. We've got a very special TOS podcast today. I'm here with Russ, who is an NFL expert. Is going to give us a few picks for this week, and we're going to talk a little bit just about betting on NFL and again, kind of angles that you can find. Welcome to this week's TOS podcast in association with BetDex, an innovative crypto exchange. We're going to be looking at, again, some very competitive prices on BetDex for the games that Russ has picked out today. Good morning, Russ. How are you doing today?
Very good, Neil. How are you? How you doing?
Yeah, good, good. Yeah, can't complain. Thank you very much for joining us. On the pod today. Obviously I'm familiar with you through a service called Bet Chat, and through Josh, who who's promoted your NFL service, which has been going quite some time now. So how long has the snap been going now?
I've been working with Josh for 5 years. As I said, my background is I've been in sports betting for around about 20 years, and probably about 15 years ago, NFL just took off for me in terms of following it, stats, enjoying the game, but from a hunting perspective, yeah, I really got deep into the numbers. And then I've been working with Josh, doing the subscription model for 5 years and returning some good profit from the subscribers. Um, it's looking at either the money line, handicap line, total points, anytime touchdown scorer, any of the props, which again, there's so many props there. It's really doing a deep dive early on in the week, or sometimes even as soon as one weekend slate is finished, you're already looking at three or four good matchups the following week. And that's what I think people don't understand about the NFL. You can have a team absolutely flying, but if they can come up against a team that stops the run, again, that that could massively work in the other team's favor. So, although from a punting perspective, you may say, "Oh, 2.5 handicap spread, yeah, um, they'll cover that comfortably." Absolutely, they won't because they're coming up against wrong matchups. And the other team will cover it or even win. So, and obviously total points as well. Again, one team may be scoring an average of 27 a week. They come up against a defense that is rock solid. It's going to be nowhere near. Um, so again, it's having that deep understanding and knowledge that I believe I do that has meant the service has done really well, gaining subscribers, and again, the main thing returning profit for people that are back in the service.
So yeah, in terms of, NFL itself, it's something obviously sort of as myself as a punter as well. What's made me wary is kind of this, I guess, general perception, maybe based on presumably on a lot of evidence, that it's one of the hardest sports to beat, and I think especially looking at in terms of the sort of duration of the season, kind of compared to other American sports, especially, it's such a short season that it is that kind of part of the element of kind of variance where you have kind of that there isn't such a sustained run of games before before the Super Bowl. Is that one of the challenges, or are there other particular things about NFL in particular that makes it quite a tough sport? So where, I suppose, where have you found an edge on that in such a difficult sport to beat?
Oh, great question. Look, home advantage can be very important. Um, Watching the injury reports week in, week out is very important. Um, Looking at the skilled players as well. So the quarterback, um, certain running backs, wide receivers, uh, defensive line, corners, defensive corners. Um, these skilled players, if they're playing week in, week out, they are so important because turnovers are absolutely massive in American football. You look at these elite quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes. The guy's phenomenal. Um, Travis Kelce in certain games where he will always step up over the years. Previous seasons, Josh Allen at Buffalo, again, he's been so super consistent. Um, you look at the 49ers, Brock Purdy's come in again, pretty good. But again, sometimes you'll see him drop off. Running back, Christian McCaffrey. Wow, what a beast. He is unbelievable. He's been out. So against 49ers this year need to tweak their game, rely on others to step up. Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles, again, come in, done an awesome job. Again, these quarterbacks that can run as well as pass. Again, very, very difficult to defend. Lamar Jackson at Buffalo. Again, so Lamar Jackson at Baltimore Ravens. Again, what a player. And it's also about, it's not similar, it's similar to any sport, it's confidence as well.
Mm.
Confidence in what you can do. You can see players that when you watch the highlights back, when you watch it live, they're just super confident. And obviously the offensive line as well, just doing great, great jobs. Not forgetting the coaching schemes as well. Again, having a great coach or a coaching team, offensive coach, defensive coach, is absolutely massive. Okay, you look at soccer, football at the minute, the way some teams have 4 or 5 coaches, but you see how they're very good at set pieces. Again, this is where I think for Mikel Arteta at Arsenal, again, my team, but you see how when they have a corner, it's like, oh, this is really dangerous. Again, I think they've been speaking to the guys at the Rams about taking your time at these key important moments because they're huge for you to score points for NFL um, and obviously football to score goals. So that's why having these great coaches and you watch these coaches come through, um, class is permanent. So you can kind of see either week in week out or over a good run of the season, um, these teams are going to come up trumps.
No, absolutely. And I suppose we're 4 games in at the moment, so we're going into game week 5. Um, are there any teams that have surprised you so far? Any teams that have kind of disappointed? Do you think the market itself is perhaps overrating or underestimating any teams? Kind of, going into this, I suppose we're still it's still relatively early days.
Yeah, it is massively early days. However, um, looking at the NFC, you've got the Minnesota Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks, both new coaches, both 100% records. And yeah, I don't think anyone thought both of them would be where they are now. So they are very much 2 teams to keep an eye on. There is a strong possibility that they both will get to the playoffs, but it's just whether their form will falter or again whether um, they could be serious contenders in the NFC because usually you've got the NFC favorites such as the Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, Dallas Cowboys, Detroit Lions. Those were the 4 where okay, people felt that these 4 again should be up there. I think they will. Um, it will be over a period of weeks now as to them stepping up their game and just seeing who's going to kind of get the number 1, number 2 seed when it comes to the playoffs. And obviously, playoffs that home advantage is going to be crucial versus again the Vikings, Seattle Seahawks. If they can keep these top performances going both off on offense and defense, again they're going to be in the mix.
And so
And
you
obviously
mentioned,
switching to the AFC, Kansas City Chiefs again year in year out. Again, are they the equivalent of the New England Patriots under Brady? At the minute, 100%. You look at how many Super Bowls they've won over the last 4 years. They're going to be there. Again, one surprise package have been the Pittsburgh Steelers because that division is so tight. Baltimore Ravens are up there. Cincinnati Bengals, people fancied, and I think they are a team to watch over the next month, 5 weeks. I think they're gonna go for a run. Buffalo coming off a big defeat at Baltimore. I think again they need to settle down, do what they do best, and there's no reason that they shouldn't be there or thereabouts again.
no, fantastic. And so something you mentioned about, the home advantage there. Now, obviously, we're there's a kind of special game week this week, with one of the first 3 games in London.
Yeah.
Um, so how does that dynamic of this game, I suppose, in on neutral territory, how do you sort of teams prepare for that? Are there any sort of particular quirks? I think I noticed. I think only one of the last four London games have gone over 40 points, I think. Is that sort of generally, do they tend to be lower scoring, or is that just a kind of a coincidence? Um, is it for some teams maybe a kind of sort of welcome break to kind of, to have that experience, or is it a hindrance for some? How have you kind of seen those games sort of previously?
Yeah, points in some games can be a premium in terms of just going under the line. Um, in terms of preparation, the travel is so important. Again, you saw it last week. Miami traveling to Seattle. On paper, people may have felt, and again, looking at the line, that okay, look, Miami, obviously Tua is injured, but Miami have got the tools to compete. They're traveling, they're traveling one side of the country to the other. Seattle just blew them apart. Obviously, coming to London again, the preparation when you travel, how you're here, how your travel plans have gone. For me, it's kind of seeing the news about because this is when you've got a squad of 53 and you've got a massive entourage. Again, if things are going really well in the camp, training's going well, you're seeing things where the guys are uber confident. They're coming here with plenty of time to prepare. Um, then there's no reason that they shouldn't oblige. And for me, this looks at the Minnesota Vikings this weekend. I hope I'm right. I'm all over them this weekend.
Yeah, so
I'm
that's
all
something we're
big.
going to come to. So we'll
Yeah,
discuss that game. We've got a couple of games we'll discuss in more detail. Excuse me, a bit later on. Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned about the travel. Sort of in my days working for a syndicate, obviously very different sport, the other football, so soccer.
yeah,
But one of the leagues that I did look at was the MLS, and again, so like teams who are traveling from coast to coast. The kind of impact and that would have, and generally, there was a kind of percentage marker where we would kind of adjust what the fair odds would be, based on that, based on the kind of recovery time, and traveling through again, like it's such a huge
yeah.
country, so you're traveling through time zones, all these kind of little things, where, all kind of elite sportsmen are kind of, and women are kind of, it makes this kind of slight difference, and there's other
Yeah.
factors there. So yeah, it's really interesting that you say that. Okay, so fantastic, Ross. It's yeah, so it's really interesting. And so, how has the season gone so far with your picks with your group? Has kind of have things been sort of performing to expectation? What's it been like so far? Kind of what you predicted would happen.
Yeah, to be fair, the first few weeks have gone pretty well. Um, we followed the Pittsburgh Steelers for the first 3 weeks, and they obliged beautifully to cover the spreads in all those three games. Just felt that again, Mike Tomlin, what a coach, what a defense. Um, again, teams. So I think the odds makers just felt that they wouldn't be as strong as they were. So they've been brilliant. Um, Last weekend, we found even money 2.0, Derek Henry to score a touchdown, which was wow, I couldn't believe it. He's usually 1.8, 1.7, even 1.5 in games. So yeah, I believe that was against the Dallas Cowboys, where yeah, he beautifully obliged, not only with one but two. So that was like it's finding for anytime touchdown scorers, it's really looking at the line and trying to get something above 2.0 or just below, where you think, okay, look, this matchup is perfect. And obviously, Derrick Henry being the beast he is at running back, again, Lamar will often than not just hand the ball over and he'll get it done. But there's certain tight ends or wide receivers that when they're in form and the matchup's good and they've got um, a nice spread as a team behind them and the points is high, they're going to get it done. So that's where we have some success as well.
So in terms of the matchups themselves, I mean, this is something quite interesting to me. In terms of how I approach, and in football, just sort of matchups in terms of other kind of props, with passes or tackles and things like that. What do you look for when you're looking for for example, touchdown score, and are there sort of other props that you look at as well? And where do you think maybe the bookmakers are kind of maybe missing things in their price, or sort of where do you sort of spot that value? So could there be like maybe like one example of a matchup where you think actually, it's kind of way off from what the price is that you've had recently?
Yeah, look, rushing attempts, rushing yards, 100%. Again, if a team cannot defend the run, then 100% the team with the ball, they're re they're really going to push this, and they're really going to use the run. They're going to go run heavy. So again, some of the odds makers may not may not see that. So there's usually a decent amount of value there. Um, receiving yards, tight ends, wide receivers. Again, there can be certain matchups where the defensive corners are just not good, and you can see that the offensive schemes that week are going to suit these big players. Yeah, the line may be out, it may be well out. Um, it's then taking advantage of that.
And in
Hold
terms
me
of
one sec,
how,
one sec, one sec.
yeah.
So
So, uh, Russ, you mentioned that sometimes you'll be looking at the lines, after the weekend slate, just immediately after kind of the weekend slate's gone, sort of when the lines go out. So, do you tend to mostly sort of bet as early as possible? Um, sort of, do you think sometimes drift in your favor, sort of closer to game day? Sometimes do you take sort of positions in place? What's your sort of general kind of approach to sort of the bets you're taking and that you're sending out to members?
oh, brilliant. That's a great question. Yeah. Sometimes we can do early week bets. This is where I believe there's going to be a significant move change, whether it's an injury, um, or just a matchup in advance that based on the previous week's performance that I really think the handicap line should be 3 points the other way. And then that's it. We just go for it. We just go for it. And more often than not, you'll see the line creep up. So say I may take a team minus 2.5. By game day, it could be -6.
Hmm.
So therefore, obviously, we've got a nice 2.5, and the line come kickoff is 5 or 6, which is great. We love that. Obviously, if the bet obliges, but it's kind of if you see things early, you have to take it. You have to take it. As you know from what you do, you just have to back your opinions and obviously back the stats that you're seeing in front of you and kind of ignore the lines in terms of how can that be right? Because you see it with your eyes, you see it with your stats, you see what's going on in the game before the games before, and that's it. You take it. You have to. You can't hesitate because you'll hesitate, and then that 2.5 will creep up to 3.5, 4.5 before you know it, because everyone else is then seeing what you're seeing. So I love it when that happens. But at the same time, closer to game day, when you see the injuries that are there after the final practice, then yeah, there are bets that are taken closer to kickoff that again sent to the members. And yeah, look, the bet chat with Josh, really good syndicate, works really well. There's interaction with the members. Any questions that anyone has, we can answer. We don't only send through the picks, but we send through really good rationales to why we're taking the picks. So um, even if the subscribers aren't knowing of um, NFL and what goes on behind the scenes, they're getting a clear rationale as to okay, we're going for 1 point here. Here is the reason why Pittsburgh Steelers are going to cover the handicap because of A, B, C, D, and that for me gives them confidence that okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's go.
Do you find that sort of a beneficial process? I know sort of my time sort of sending out tips. Um, it was interesting in terms of I wondered sort of how many people were reading them because there were people who did and really appreciated it, but I would probably say maybe 75% of people sort of, they just wanted the bets.
They just want
Uh,
winners. They want winners.
yeah, just want
It
winners.
doesn't matter how they come. They just want, right, here's the bet. Go and take it. Paddy Power, Betfair, Ladbrokes, Coral, Betfair Exchange. Look, um, the feedback we get is that they do like a small piece of rationale as to, okay, this is why. So, for instance, if we're saying that the Kansas City Chiefs will score over 24 points, and then we clearly rationale that over the last 10 games they've averaged X, or over a certain amount of games against this type of team they've averaged Y. So okay, fine. You're clearly saying that there's a clear method to this pick, and yeah, fine, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, for me, it helps sort of if I can clarify it, and what someone at TOS, Johnny, one of our sort of genius traders, says if you can't kind of write an essay on your
Yeah.
rationale, I mean, at least a couple of paragraphs, then possibly it's worth kind of looking at sort of like your confidence level in it. If you can kind of elaborate on it quite easily, then you can feel quite confident in there. And I think it's also
100%.
what I've found is sort of sending out the rationale. There's sort of quite sort of creative minds who've been in sort of groups of mine who will use some of that information to create their own bets. So it might be I might not necessarily have 4 or 5 picks for the same game because that's quite a high volume, but
Yeah.
the information might lend itself to something kind of correlated to what I've sent out, for people to kind of make their own bet builders or kind of, kind of throw into an ACCA, or take a kind of slightly different angle on it. So I think there's definitely use for it. And the members who, do enjoy that content, they do really, really appreciate it. One other thing I was going to ask as well is, I mean, I think, so US sports have kind of always been sort of way ahead of the game, compared to, I mean, now there's a revolution in football with Opta and
Yeah.
all the kind of stats that you have. But, going way back, I think I'm thinking sort of, especially if like baseball, for example, for
Oh,
years,
wow.
kind of stats that you've had there. I'm not so, I'm presuming it's similar with NFL that, again, the stats have kind of been a core basis of of like again fantasy football and the kind of the coverage, the analysis that you've had on TV. But with so much information and so many statistics out there, I mean, I face this issue myself. But like, how do you kind of distinguish between sort of signal and noise and what's actually relevant and what's actually kind of something you can extract value from?
Oh, look, it's great. Look, there's 100 and there's 200 markets for every single NFL game. The props go down all the way. So you stick to the stats that you have, you stick to the research that you follow, and you go with that. You're just single-minded. Um, as soon as you alleviate, oh, what about that? What about this? It's pointless. Pointless. You must stick to what you're good at. You must stick to what you're good at. How you got to where you are with the picks that you do, and again the research that you have, the stats that I've got back going 4, 5, 6 seasons, obviously on some individual players, but more on the teams and the matchups. That's the way to go. You can't deviate because you're not doing yourself justice. As you said, if you're going to put up a pick, again, you could write paragraphs of this is why A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Whereas if you're just deviating a bit, you might think, oh, well, I fancy that, but you shouldn't really put that up. It needs to be what the stats say.
Absolutely. So I noticed you've got an Eagles top on, so I'm assuming that's your team. Is there?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, family in Philadelphia. Followed them for the last 10, 15 years. We had our day against the New England Patriots. Nick Foles coming in and seeing it over the line in an unbelievable Super Bowl against Tom Brady.
Is there like so? I'm a Spurs fan for my sins, and I've had to sort of write tips articles or or things in for Spurs games, or I've found angles. Sometimes I do find it a challenge, kind of removing the bias. As much as I'd like to think I'm
Yeah,
sort of looking at things objectively when it comes to the team I support, if I'm kind of on the borderline, I'm a little bit wary because sometimes I feel like maybe I'm kind of maybe overly negative
Yeah.
on what I'm seeing, or kind of overly optimistic, and I feel like it's easier when it's not actually my team that I'm looking at. Do you get a sense of that yourself, or is that something, do you have kind of checks and balances in place for that, or have you kind of been doing this kind of so long you can feel quite confident there's no bias there?
Yeah, no, look, you're 100% right. When I'm looking at a Philly game, I love the Eagles, how they've played the last 6, 7, 8 seasons. They've been really strong. Jalen Hurts, brilliant. Before them, when obviously Nick Foles came in, Carson Wentz had a brilliant season. Yeah, it's hard not to kind of think, oh, there's a little bit biased there. But yeah, obviously when it comes down to it, you can't, the heart can't rule the head type thing. And yeah,
Absolutely.
you need to
No,
kind of know this is the strategy you follow, and then go for it.
absolutely. Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you, Russ. So there's, I'm sure people are listening, just being like, right, you guys, give me some bets. So, so there's a couple of games that we've picked out. Obviously, it wouldn't be fair for you to, to share kind of all your plays that, you share to your members on the Snap, but, you will give us a couple of teasers. So I'm just going to try and bring up the screen. Um, let's see. How do I do this? Right. So a couple of games that we'll look at, and hopefully everyone can see the screen here. Um, so the first game, that we briefly touched on was the Vikings and the Jets. So at the moment on BetDex, Vikings 174 and the Jets 226 on the money line. What are your thoughts on this game? Sort of again, we sort of briefly mentioned, the kind of unique nature of it, sort of being in London. Have you heard anything sort of from the two camps? Kind of their approach to it. I'm kind of looking forward to the travel and the difficulty. I know that the Vikings are 4-0, so they're kind of on a good run. Do you feel like this could be kind of maybe like a potential hindrance for them? Maybe it's kind of a slight nudge in the Jets' favor.
Oh, look, it should be a great game. It should be a really good game. I'm I'm believing that this Minnesota Vikings team are playing with so much confidence right now. Um, and honestly, that was a tough place to go, Green Bay last week. I know they let a big lead slip, um, but they got the job done and they are playing really well on both sides of the ball. Um, Sam Darnold is doing really well. I have to say, I've watched him over the years, and yeah, he's been yuck. He's really not played well. He's throwing picks, and I don't think he's delivering the schemes that he needs to. Um, but I think with the coaching setup they have now within the Vikings, yeah, I think they're the team to go with this weekend, 100%. Um, I think Justin Jefferson, and you've got Aaron Jones, they've got the running game that can work well for them. And obviously the receivers are playing really well. And I think although the Jets defense is one to be admired, I just think um, the Vikings, yeah, they can get it done here. And with a spread of only -2.5, yeah, I think they can cover that. I really do. I think um, they're a team to watch, the Vikings, again over the next 4 or 5 weeks. 4-0. Um, yeah, they have surprised me a little bit, to be fair. They have
Because
surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, because from what I've been seeing, kind of overwhelmingly, sort of pundits, pretty much almost every pundit, is kind of predicting a Vikings win here, which again, to my kind of the untrained eye, surprises me that the odds are the way they are. If that's the general consensus, the kind of public opinion, that they're kind of even 174. If kind of and again, sort of a lot of people have mentioned it, they should be able to cover the main spread
Yeah.
fairly easily. So is there anything that I mean, so are there any arguments in favor of the Jets, or is it? a case of the Vikings game to lose? What are there sort of any potential scenarios where you see the Jets um, could actually come out victorious?
Oh yeah, 100%. Sam Darnold throwing picks. It's as simple as that. Again, you look down the years, and yeah, he good pressure on him. He struggled. The Jets have been fancied this year. They could throw in one of those performances across every single part of the game, offense, special teams, where everything clicks. Um, but you go match up, be match up. There's no reason Minnesota shouldn't win this.
Okay,
And
fantastic.
again, with the spread only being 2.5, um, yeah, it's a field goal. There's no way they shouldn't just get the job done. Um, I think they can get if they can get out to a nice early lead, then the confidence can be really strong, and the defense of the Vikings can step up, put pressure on the Jets, uh, get some turnovers, and then you get more points on the ball. It's as simple as that.
Okay, fantastic. I think was there one other play for this game as well you had on the touchdowns or
Yeah, I'm going for the big man, the man of the hour, the man that's playing lights out this year, Justin Jefferson, to score anytime. Um, I think, I think Sam Darnold can get it done here to Jefferson. Um, Previous games, again, he's his number one target. Um, and yeah, again, although the Jets defense pretty strong, Jefferson, the way he moves, the schemes he takes, um, again, the fans are all baying for a 50, 60 yard throw or even a nice 20-yard throw. The fans want to see touchdowns. The fans want to see great plays. And um, again, if Sam gets his mojo going, Jefferson's a man to get it in the end zone. Um, and I think he can get it done. I think he can get it done. I'll be rooting for him anyway. He's a good player. He's a playmaker. He's one that stands out as a wide receiver, and I think this can be his year.
fantastic. Actually, I should mention as well. So the picks that you have, and for the snap. So do you work to a point system? So with these tips as well. So sort of are they kind of 1 point plays? Are they sort of how confident? What's your confidence on these two
Yeah, I think the play for the Minnesota Vikings is a 2 point play.
as a two
I
point
think
play?
they can cover the spread here.
Okay,
Um, Jefferson for the any touchdown scorers, we just go with 1 point. So yeah, he's the 1 point play there.
fantastic. Okay, and in terms of sort of the money line price as well, let's say for example, if you're not able to get, the sort of competitive price on the spread, would you be happy to take the Vikings at 174?
Yeah, obviously price is a bit too low for me. The money line, I'm usually just tempted at kind of the 1.9, 1.91. Um, when it does get to that, it's covering the spread at maybe even 1.5, 2.5. That's it.
Okay.
We like to get the point like the 10 to 11 on the handicap spread.
Okay, fantastic. And the other game we were going to look at as well, the Bengals and the Ravens. I think the Ravens were being offered at 174 earlier, so it might come back up on display soon. What are your thoughts on this game?
Oh, this is a humdinger of a game. This is going to be a classic. Um, Ravens start the season pretty well. As I said, Bengals, uh, I think they've got their star players back now, um, which means they could be a danger to the Bengals, but sorry, the Ravens. I just think Baltimore are going to have that little bit extra here to get the job done. It's going to be very, very close. Um, but I think the Ravens coming off that big win against Buffalo can follow it up with another win. But as I said, over the next 5, 6 weeks, I do expect the Bengals to start picking up some wins because that division is really, really going to be tough. Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, even Browns to an extent. These teams play tough. And again, when they have their matchups, both home and away, that takes a lot out. That takes a lot out of them. Uh, but again, they're these two are well coached, very well coached teams.
Okay, fantastic. So just to confirm for that game as well. So what's your pick here? Sorry if you mentioned already.
It would be the Baltimore Ravens on the handicap spread, which I believe is about 1.5.
So 1.5 on the Ravens. Okay, fantastic. And I mean, I mean, those are sort of the official picks for this week. But are there any other games where you sort of taking an interest, or perhaps like there's or any teams you think are kind of sort of desperate for a win, or to kind of avoid defeat? Is there any other games on the card this week which might be sort of an interesting watch?
Yeah, I think Buffalo can bounce back. They've got a they've got a game against the Texans, and I think this is where Josh Allen I think shows his class. As I said, you look at these quarterbacks that have shown year in year out they get it done. I think Josh Allen against this really really exciting Texans team, Josh Allen can get it done. Um, I think their star players can also step up both on offense, defense. So yeah, I think the Buffalo Bills are one to watch this week. Um, Patriots against Dolphins. The Dolphins are a right mess. It's such a shame that Tua's got injured. New England Patriots again, not amazing, but I just think they could be the one to side with this weekend. Not an official play, but yeah, that's definitely one to watch this weekend.
I mean, the markets, looks pretty much 50-50s. Is that yeah, so it's an interesting one to call, but you'd kind of give the edge to the Patriots there.
At the minute, I'm siding with the Patriots. Again,
Yeah.
I have to see what the injuries are over the next few days before making a play if I do on that one.
Okay. Fantastic. Ross, thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate it. It's been yeah, really interesting. Just hearing your perspective on all things NFL, and best luck with the bets. We'll be definitely following along. And in terms of sort of where people can find your service, I'll be posting in the description under the video, links to the Snap as well, and sort of details for Russ if you had any kind of questions for him. Um, that would be really really good. And yeah, anything else you wanted to add, I suppose, for this week, or
Oh no, I just say,
covered?
look, the we I love what we do at the Bet Chat. Um, it's a super group of guys, and then to run the Snap season in, season out, working with Josh and the team there, it's really engaging. Um, it's not just a pure uh, tipping service. As I said, we do the rationales each for the picks that we're doing each week, and there is good interaction with the subscribers, which is exactly what we want. We want questions. We want questions. We want to be challenged as to why we're tipping, what we're tipping. And again, that makes for a really good and enjoyable service, in my opinion, that again has been running over the last few years with Josh and the guys at the Bet Chat. And that has meant that the subscribers keep coming back season in, season out. So that even if they don't know NFL, but they may watch the occasional game, they'll see these picks and they'll take a watch, or um, they'll see their bank account or betting account top up with um, some nice profit.
Always nice, absolutely. And I mean, at Trading Sports, we have our lead NFL trader Matt as well, so who posts selections each week. So again, I'll put a link in the description for that. And hopefully, what would be great is actually you could have the both of you on, sort of
Love
further
it.
down the line for the playoffs, or for the Super Bowl. So at least there'll be sort of 2 out of 3 people who know what they're talking about. So that'd be brilliant. So yeah, thank you very much, Russ. I really really appreciate your time today. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. And we'd love to have you back on as well. So do give the feedback, sort of like and subscribe. Please sort of comment on the video. I'm happy to have Russ back and ask sort of any more questions. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer. So brilliant. Thank you so much, Russ.
My absolute pleasure. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. And yeah, if you're not into NFL, start watching because yeah, for the next 3 weeks, the NFL is heading to London, so it will be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, looking forward to it at my beloved Spurs stadium as well. So
Yes.
thank you very much.
Pleasure. You take care. Thanks, Neil.